Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Here we are in Madrid after spending a few days in Morocco, which was really awesome. Although I have to say that I was saying how it's really nice and a lot of amazing things and all that. On our final day, actually I noticed this before too, I saw a number of like heated arguments. So I was saying it's kind of like Mexico in that it's like amazing service and it's like really nice and stuff like that. But it's not like Mexico in that I saw numerous heated arguments in Morocco. There's something about Morocco, I don't know what it is, that people seem, it appears to me, because I saw numerous of them, unless it was just by chance, I just saw all these super heated arguments, but they seem to like to get into like really heated arguments, and I mean like really heated, like face to face, just when they're Arabic or whatever they're doing. Like even on our taxi to the airport, our taxi, apparently he had to tell me this because I didn't understand what they were arguing about, that I got in this like 5-minute shouting match with a cop who pulled him over because, according to the taxi driver, he kind of wanted to pass on this 2-lane, pretty quiet road. And I don't know why, but he couldn't for some reason. And the cop just was going crazy. He was going crazy. He was yelling at the taxi for like at least a minute or two, just yelling and yelling. And finally he went really crazy and cut in front of us and cut us off, got out just face to face, just yelling at the taxi driver. I actually took some video of it. And so if you speak Arabic, I think that's the language they're speaking. I don't really know. I think so. You might understand this a lot better than me.
هو التراكس عليا وعليك فوتوا واش الا خرجتي على الخط نهضر معاه عليا وعليك انت شدت لي من ديك عمر الطريق ديال خاص.
Just like a few minutes before that, I saw 2 guys on the street just going at it, just like this close to each other's faces. So I don't know what's going on, but none of them evolved into an arrest or a fight or anything. I think they just really like to get into heated arguments. My 2-year-old was actually sitting right behind the driver's seat, and he was just he thought it was like a show, because it was so they're waving their hands around and stuff, and he's just sitting there eating his banana, and he's just watching it like he was at the restaurant the other night, just like watching it like it was a show. And my daughter was laughing. Oh, and I should mention too, by the way, I saw a few people saying, oh, sorry to hear about what happened to your daughter. Oh, you don't need to be sorry. Like, she loves stuff like that. She's like a chip off the old block in that respect. Like, she loves crazy stuff. She hasn't stopped talking about it since it happened. Every day she's bringing it up and how funny it was and how funny our assistant didn't run and he got the crap kicked out of him and she had to come and try to save him. So to her, that was one of the best experiences on this trip, which is pretty funny. I took her to the desert, camel rides, all that kind of stuff, showed her the Eiffel Tower, which is really beautiful actually. We took a boat with a great dinner. It's called the Blue Diamond. If you ever go, it was quite amazing and really beautiful. That's one thing I want to mention actually, is I talk a lot about how bad Europe's getting. Especially with a lot of the migrant stuff, and for sure it is, because I've seen, hundreds of videos of various areas in like Paris, or London, and so I was kind of expecting to see some of that kind of stuff. But, our first stop was in Monaco. I went to play in the World Series of Poker again, lost again, although I kind of lost on purpose. I basically realized that I was in like a day 1, and then after that there was a day off, and then day 2, and then it goes all the way to like day 6. And as we were there in Monaco, I was saying to my family, you know, what are we gonna do in like France and Disneyland, Eiffel Tower, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, man, we don't have that much time, so we have to leave before May 15th, because after May 15th, World War III starts in Western Europe, according to a contact of Stu Peters, which, you know, probably won't happen, but it could. It could. And so I was in the poker tournament on day 1, and I had like 20 big blinds, and it's like 10 o'clock at night. We had about 1 hour left. And I was like, man, I don't want to like ruin this whole, like we're not going to be able to go to all these places. We couldn't have gone to Morocco for 4 days like we did if I was still in this tournament. So at around 10 o'clock at night, and it was like a 5,000 euro buy-in, by the way, and I had 20 big blinds, and I was doing okay, but not great. And I was like, I'm probably gonna be here for at least a few more days, and then I'll probably not even make it into the money, and I'm gonna like ruin a lot of this trip for my family. So I came up with an idea. I'm gonna play really crazy, go all in quite a bit, and if I win like 3 or 4 all-ins in this last hour or 2, or even 2 all-ins, maybe against like 3 people or something, I might have like 80 big blinds, 100 big blinds. And then, at least, if I'm gonna stay there for a few more days and kind of cause some problems for my family trip, I have a chance to actually make the final table or win it or something, right? Because I'll have a huge stack. Or I lose, and then we can go on all these trips. So actually, I pushed like a few times with not terrible hands. It was like ace-7 suited from like the cutoff, and I just pushed 20 big blinds, which I think actually is like a decent GTO player. I think GTO guys might just do that. They start pushing around 20 big blinds anyway. And when I was down to like less than 10, so I actually doubled up on one. I doubled up with 8s. And then I pushed with the ace-7 suited and get called by the small blind with ace-king. And he got a king, and that was it. And I was actually happy. I was like, okay, now we can go on our vacation. I either wanted to win the tournaments, like have a huge stack, or just go. I didn't want to like min cash for 4 days. Anyway, what was the reason I brought all that up? Oh, about traveling to all these places in Europe. So yeah, we went to Monaco, right? So I was there last year, and it's Monaco. It's like one of the richest places on earth. It's like this enclave where all the people in Europe who have money have a place, and they get residency because there's no taxes. And as you would expect, it's very nice. There's no problems in Monaco. It's a tiny place. It's actually smaller than Liberland. It's, you know, when people say Liberland's too small to be a country, Liberland's bigger than Monaco. And Monaco's, you know, decent size. Like, it's not a tiny, tiny place. But anyway, so my point is, we come there, and I wasn't expecting to see like migrant chaos or anything. Then we went to Paris, and on the first night we did see, or I didn't, but my daughter did, saw some pretty crazy stuff, but that was related to a soccer riot, and that's just what these soccer people do. If they lose, they destroy everything. If they win, they destroy everything. I don't understand it. Although in Canada they do similar things. The guy was there for the Vancouver hockey riot when they lost in the Stanley Cup finals, which actually we found out was actually set off by the police. They lit their own cop car on fire with all their agents provocateurs, or whatever you call them.
Vancouver, transformed into a war zone. Fires erupted in busy downtown intersections. Flames shot 30 feet into the air. Storefronts smashed by looters grabbing everything in sight as people dangled from light poles, while police in full force struggled to contain the crowd with tear gas.
But anyway, so I was in Paris, and there was some crazy stuff, but it was kind of like normal crazy stuff, like soccer riot stuff. It wasn't like migrant riot stuff, although a lot of them were migrant-looking people for sure. But we stayed in like the nice area of Paris. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, I kind of laugh when some people say, Jeff, you talk about how Mexico is safe, but you're always like in the really nice places. And even when you travel, you're always in these nice places. Like, why would I go to the crappy places? Like, why would I do that? And I know there's crappy places, I know that. Even in Mexico, there's some crappy places. Not many, but there's some. Tijuana, there's some parts just not very nice, and those border towns are not great. Still better than a lot of places, but anyway, so we're in the nice part of Paris. I didn't really see too much stuff. Then we went to Morocco, so that's different. And then we came here to Madrid. And I think I did a video here about a year ago. I was right here in this same square. And I have to say Madrid is one of my favorite cities in Europe. It is so nice, like so nice. And I haven't seen here in this part of Madrid anything bad at all. In fact, it's actually really nice. Like if I wasn't thinking about the blackouts and the financial collapse and the coming lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, and I wanted to live in a city in Europe, this would be highly, highly on my list, especially since I speak Spanish as well. Anyway, my point is that I haven't seen a lot of that stuff, but I'm pretty sure it exists. Although you never know with the internet nowadays. But even in Spain, like I've seen in the last couple of years, like all these African people took over like a bunch of Spanish, or was that Italy? It was either Spanish or Italy islands. So yeah, that was either Spain or Italy, and it was crazy because there's like the population of the island is like a few thousand people, and like 10,000 Africans just moved in. They're all chopping up their cats and eating all this stuff. So, but I haven't seen any of that. I'm sure there's probably parts of Madrid even that aren't that great, and definitely there's parts of Paris that aren't that great. I know that for sure. But well, not for sure. I've only seen it on the internet. See, you can't really trust anything nowadays. But I'm pretty sure. And you know, you see videos like this one where it shows this Spanish woman walking around saying how it's not very safe to walk in Spain.
Te quiero, cariño. Te quiero mucho.
Vamos, todos los dos gente. Aquí nada.
Que te apoyan esta noche.
So there probably is areas like that, but this area of Madrid is like super nice. Like look at this, like little kids just playing. Like that's not normal in a lot of places. Like it's so nice here. So Madrid is definitely one of the nicer places. Like Barcelona I don't like as much. It's a little bit more grimy, a little bit more seedy and stuff. This is like such a beautiful place. So my point kind of is that actually, I'm going to talk a little bit in this video, but I'm going to calm down on a few things. And not necessarily because I have to or I should, but because I kind of feel like, you know, I have to say, I might have gotten a bit too extreme on things over the last couple of years. I don't know, the whole COVID thing, and you know, I'm like, everyone's gonna die and stuff, and it still is probably gonna happen. Although maybe not as bad as I thought, but it might. And it probably is, in various ways. So I'm not saying all the stuff I've been talking about is wrong. But you know, I've been saying things like just get out of any city you live in and all that kind of stuff. And that could still turn out to be totally good advice. But I kind of had a realization on this trip. Like, I'll give you one good example. Doug Casey has a great story that he's told in the past about how he was in Lebanon during a war that was happening in Lebanon. I can't remember exactly the details of the war, but probably had something to do with Israel, I'm gonna guess. And he said, it was like in the 70s or something. And he said, because Doug's funny, he's like, he goes to the U.S. State Department travel warning site to find, that's where he does his vacation planning. He literally does that. He's like, well, where's got the red flag that you shouldn't go? And that's usually where he goes. And he's totally right. Like, because I've done it myself. I've been to so many places that are similar. And everyone's telling you, don't go there. And you go there and it's basically fine. And so anyway, he was in Lebanon during this war. And you know, Lebanon's a city. Or sorry, Beirut. Beirut's the city. So it was in Beirut, the city, while there was a war happening in the city of Beirut. It'd be like there's a war happening in Madrid and I'm just here walking around, right? And what he said was, everyone knew that the war was just on one side of town. And it was a serious war, like planes and bombs and everything. And so he said, we just knew to stay on the other side of town where the war wasn't happening. And they would actually sit there and smoke cigars and watch the bombs dropping on the other side of town and have, you know, some drinks and stuff. And so this is where I'm saying, I think I'm going to calm down a bit. I think I might have gotten a bit too extreme over the last few years. For good reason, I think. But I think I might have went a bit too far on a few things. Like, you know, everyone's going to die. You know, it's probably going to be the case. But, you know, it might not be as bad. This is what I was thinking, okay? So I've had a lot of thoughts on this trip. It's been a very good trip in that respect. I've kind of been like just thinking, you know. And I was thinking too about like World War II, right? If you were in a lot of places in Europe, maybe not Madrid, I don't think Spain was too involved, although I don't remember. I'm definitely no history guy, which a lot of people think, you know, I'm stupid for, and you know, I actually haven't looked into a lot of details, a lot of things. I don't remember Spain being too involved, but let's say we were in London or Paris. Yeah, Paris got taken over, right, during World War II. Supposedly. It probably was true. That's reason enough that we can have some confidence that some of the information was true. But, you know, if I was around back then, I would have been like, get out of here. Like this place is destroyed. And it looked destroyed, right? You look at Dresden in Germany, that was heinous what happened there. You look at London, it was being bombed and all that kind of stuff. Like me back then, I would have been like, you know, this place is never, you know, got to get out of here. This is all destroyed and all that kind of stuff. But humans find a way to, they're kind of like cockroaches in a way, that they're tough to like get rid of. Like you look at Hiroshima, like that whole place was absolutely destroyed. Could have been an atomic bomb. There's no real evidence of that, but it was something. Something destroyed the entire city. And look at it today. Just, it's like nothing ever happened. So my point is that I've been thinking about this and I'm like, you know, yeah, there's going to be some really bad stuff, for sure. There's going to be the financial and economic collapse. The fiat currencies are going to be collapsing, which is great. These are all great things. All these governments are going to be collapsing. There might be the Satan Cloud cyber attacks, and that might have been the first sort of like prelude to it here in Spain, where it was shut down for at least a couple days. And I did talk to some people, and they said in some places it was starting to get a little tense, a little chaotic, a little tense. But it was only like 2 or 3 days, I think. But I heard from one person who was in Portugal, actually, which is they also had a complete blackout for a couple days. that people were in the line for the ATM because they always wait until the emergency happens before getting prepared, because they don't watch these videos or subscribe to the Vigilante, or, you know, not very forward thinking or realize what's going on or anything like that. So they always go and stand in line for the ATM once all the power goes out. And apparently these ATMs had like a battery and stuff, so it was still working, but people knew once the ATM was out of cash, they weren't going to get refilled. And so people were starting to shout at each other, like, you know, if they saw someone take out like 500 years or something, they'd get all mad at them, like, hey, leave some, you know. If that went on for a few more days, could have got pretty crazy. So, kind of forgot, I had a point to that. I don't know. Oh, just, you know, that even in extreme situations, it can still be kind of okay. I kind of have talked about this in the past, that even if something really bad happens, like really bad, sometimes some of the most beautiful things that can happen during those times, like the Cat 5 hurricane that hit Acapulco. That was a weather weapon, but it brought so many people together. The whole in Acapulco, all the community, all the people we knew, the entire town actually came together. And you hear that a lot in disasters and stuff. And a lot of beautiful things came out of it. A lot of people like yourselves donated, and we spent months bringing out stuff, and the little kids were so happy to get stuff, and it's a lot of smiling, you know. There was unhappiness as well. Anyway, my point kind of is that, you know, I think I got a bit too extreme sometimes. And I was thinking about why. Not to say that I was wrong for doing that, but why did I get a little bit over the top with just, you know, like, you're all gonna die, which is, I still think is true. But is it going to be like so bad, and will it maybe possibly not be that bad for some people, especially if you live in certain areas, you know, wealthier areas, you know, sorry, poor people, you know, what can I tell you? But, or could it be like it turns out to be just an incredible experience for yourself, even in the midst of a terrible situation? But yeah, I was thinking, like, why did I get a little bit over the top? I think it was that whole COVID thing really pushed me, like, and you know, just being right on it all so much, and then being right over and over and over again. I think I got a little bit like, okay, this is definitely going to happen because I can see it's probably going to happen, and I've been right so many times. You know, this is where I think a lot of people go, Jeff, your ego's kind of big. You think you're always right. It's like, I am. I'm right a lot. Like, shockingly. Oh, dog fight. That worked it out. So, these things pass. Everything passes. Anyway, these are some of the thoughts I've been having as I've been here in Europe. Oh, and then, so I was in Morocco. And I thought it'd be kind of funny because Kanye West had just put out a song, which I'll tell you why in a second, but I'm not going to say the name of the song. N-word Heil Hitler, okay? And there's a reason I'm saying it kind of quietly and cautiously. I'm going to explain that in a second. I thought it'd be funny. I happened to be in Morocco. My wife brought us all this Moroccan wedding outfits. And we had a whole everything because we're going to go on these ATVs. And I thought, I got my camera. Why don't I do a video and I'll talk about this new Kanye song? And I thought, well, I should just put the name of the song on the thumbnail photo. Well, I had no idea the amount of chaos that was going to cause. Things like at an Acapulco, they're all like, we just had a sponsor cancel. We just had a speaker cancel. We're getting complaints from attendees. And I was like, why? And they're like, your new video. And I'm like, my new video where I talk about how people get so triggered by words, and they really shouldn't because they're just noises you make with your mouth. And in the video where I talk about how we shouldn't look at people as collective sort of groups necessarily, like I always look at people as individuals. And I was like, that video? Like, why would anyone be upset about what I said in that video? Unless they're Indians, because I kind of did call a lot of them monkeys, which I kind of feel a bit bad about. Because I meant it mostly as a joke. Yeah, and they're throwing dung at each other and stuff, and some of them, you know, but you know, every place has a whole bunch of like idiots, right? I was mostly saying it for fun, but other than that, I was mostly talking about don't let words trigger you; they're just sounds, and don't look at people as you know, if they're part of some group. Don't just assume they're this or that. Look at them as individuals. So I was very confused. I'm like, why are these people canceling? Because of that thing that I said that's very, you know, nothing wrong with what I said there, I don't think. And they said, no, it's the thumbnail photo. It has N-word, Heil Hitler. See, and here's the reason I'm not saying it too loud, because apparently, if people just see certain words, they assume all kinds of things without watching the video. So I found that very funny, because that was kind of the point of the video. But I guess because I put those words, which trigger a lot of people, in the thumbnail photo, that even that was too much. So that was kind of interesting. Oh, and I should mention, we have started posting on YouTube again for the last few months, actually. But we put this disclaimer on at the very start. It says this is a work of satirical fiction. Nothing in this is true. It's all for comedy and all this kind of stuff, which is kind of half true half the time. But until now, it's made it so they haven't actually deleted any of our videos until the N-word Heil Hitler video, which we actually censored out on the thumbnail for YouTube. We didn't put those words fully. We put the asterisks all over the place. And even the intro video, which was Kanye West's song, we put in a guy playing it on ukulele, because we just knew, because that song is banned in so many places. It's banned on YouTube, it's banned on Instagram, it's banned in most places. So we actually had as the intro music video, this. And still it got banned by YouTube. Hi, Dollar Vigilante. It looks like Kanye West on the, I won't even say it too loud, Jews and cokehead misleaders have gay orgies prior to World War III didn't follow community guidelines. To help keep our community safe, we removed it from YouTube. So just to re-emphasize, the thumbnail text was just the name of Kanye's song. That's the name of it. I thought it'd be funny, me in Muslim garb, talking about that stuff, and then talking about how we should all look at each other as individuals. Words are just noises we make with our mouth. Why are you letting it trigger you and stuff like that? But just the thumbnail text triggered a lot of people. It's just kind of funny. And even like, because one of the words was, and I'm not going to say it because it seems to really trigger people. The N-word, you can say that, but you can't say the actual word. Which is kind of weird, because negro in Spanish just means black. And that's all I was basically saying, but I guess with a hard on it, which I understand, I do understand. There's a long history to the word. A lot of people feel very hurt. You know, a lot of people are still upset about some slavery stuff, which was mostly done by Jews. I don't know if you knew that. But anyway, I do understand. Like, I don't want to be a dick. I really don't. I just thought it'd be kind of funny. and catch people's attention too, like. But that was the name of the song, which is banned everywhere, which is kind of interesting, right? Because, any other rap song with talking about the color black in Spanish, negro, is perfectly fine. You can talk about killing tons of negros. You can talk about shooting them up and stealing their women and all that kind of stuff. That's totally fine. But if you talk about it and say something kind of positively about a guy who has been declared for all of our entire lives that he's the most evil person who's ever existed, it's banned everywhere, which is kind of interesting because he was apparently kind of against certain people. See, I'm trying to make this soft and lovey-dovey and try not to trigger anyone in this video. I don't want to be a dick. I don't. So I'm trying to just do this as nicely as I can here. See if I can kind of calm everyone down. And it's interesting that it's banned on almost everywhere. You can talk about anyone else. You can talk about Mao or Stalin or Barack Drone Bomber or Pedo Pete or Donald Trump or anybody. But you can't talk about this one guy and say something kind of nice, which is kind of interesting, right? Why? Why can't you do that? Well, I think the smarter people out there kind of have figured it all out. But it is kind of interesting. And then for me to even mention the name of the title seemed to have freaked out a bunch of people. And they kind of said too, Jeff, you've been talking a lot about, those Jays. It's like, yeah, I've been talking about lots of stuff about what's happening and what I think's happening. And it's just kind of interesting. It's all kind of interesting. It's kind of funny too, because what they say about Hitler, I don't want to say it too loud, I don't want to trigger anybody, was that he was kind of against other races, they say. I don't know if that's true. That's what I've heard some people say. And he didn't like gay people, which is kind of interesting because there's a lot of evidence that he was kind of gay. So it's one of these who knows sort of things. But it's kind of funny because it kind of has a bit of a revival here because of a couple people, really. Well, there's more than a couple, but Kanye West, and there's a guy named Nick Fuentes, I think, who's gay or something. I don't know. Stu Peters, of course. Max Egan talks a lot about all this stuff. But if it's true what they say about Hitler, he doesn't like gay people, doesn't like, black people and stuff like that. I keep having this dream, Doc, that my legacy is being carried by a mentally ill colored boy and a gay Mexican. Yeah, it is kind of funny when you think about it. Everything's kind of funny. This 3D video game is so amazing and hilarious. And I even that's even triggered people lately. I had someone contact me, they're like, Jeff, I can't watch your stuff anymore. How can you say that this isn't real? It's like, well, first of all, I don't know anything for sure. I'm just telling you my experiences. And after about 10 years of meditating, last year or so in a plasma bath, I've reached some really incredible consciousness levels. And from there, you can see a lot of this stuff. Here's sort of like a matrix, so you're kind of trapped in it. Basically trapped in your mind is what it is. But, they say things like, well, this has to be real. That's what that whole Bill Hicks thing, his most amazing final performance was. It's amazing, how his final performance was his best. And George Carlin as well, some of his final performances, he just went off, and they were some of his best. It's kind of funny too that some people think Bill Hicks is actually Alex Jones, and if that's true, that's hilarious. But that's what Bill Hicks was talking about in his last sort of show he did before he died of like cancer at like 30 something years old, which is kind of weird, which does lead to these theories that he actually converted into Alex Jones afterwards. But that's what he was talking about in that. But when I say that this isn't really real, I basically mean it's not base level reality. And I can actually explain that with words, with mind, with logic, quite simply, really. Like, for example, well, even religious people, for example, right? So there's a lot of people who are into these organized religions that kind of generally say, you're here and you're kind of, you're sinful, some of them say, which is like ridiculous. Oh yeah, I created you, but you're like a piece of crap. And you have to figure out how to not be a piece of crap. You got to remember where to go and who to give money to and who to bow down to, and then you won't burn forever. It's crazy, I know, but there's like billions of people who believe this stuff. But most of those sort of people, they believe that, yeah, we are here, but we're being kind of judged. And then at the end, if we did some good things, we get to go sit in some clouds. And if we do some bad things, we burn forever. Forever. Which, that's gotta suck. But that's what they believe. And it could be. I don't know. I don't know. But if that's the case, then is this base level reality? If you look at it pretty logically, it's like, well, no. The base level reality is like the heaven hell places, these dimensions. Here is like a matrix, like a little testing ground, little Hunger Games or something, right? And so even, you know, do you get all upset at religious people who believe those things? Because if you don't, you shouldn't feel upset that I say this isn't real, because that's what they believe as well. They might not have even thought about it, but that's basically what they believe. But then I could also add to that, what about dreams? I actually don't have the most extreme dreams. I know people though, like my daughter will have like the most intricate dreams and she'll describe it all to me, every bit of it. And it's as real as can be to her. And I have many dreams that are as real as can be to me as well. It's as real as this feels right now. Now, it's a slightly different, but it's very real. So, what I would say to that is, what was that? What the fuck was that? Like, you just lived in some alternate reality for a while there. Don't you find that a little interesting or strange, or you ever think about it? Apparently some people don't. They're just like, well, no, I just have dreams, but this is obviously clearly real. It's like, well, what are the dreams? Because those feel real. And most people, I think, would say, well, the dreams are created by your mind. Okay, that's what I'm saying this is too. Now, not necessarily exactly the same, but it appears to me if your mind can create those dreams, then it can create this as well. And I've actually discovered through all this stuff I've been doing that you can actually change this reality in various ways. Just like in a dream, when you have, what do they call those dreams where you're kind of conscious during it, so you can actually manipulate the dreams. Lucid dreaming. I've actually done it a couple times. It takes a lot of practice. Well, for me, some people it comes like easy. For me, it took a long time. But yeah, when you're lucid dreaming, it's pretty incredible. So it's just like this, right? So I'd be like here looking at this fountain or whatever, and I'd go, hey, I totally know that this is a dream, and I'm gonna go do something with these people. Sometimes it's usually a pretty attractive woman that I go and try to do things with, actually. Yeah, can't really control what my mind wants to do there, I guess, but I can. And I can do it here too. See, just because you might not be able to, you know, don't need to think I'm all like, you hate me and you can't watch my videos. It's like, I'm trying to tell you this stuff, you can do it. Think about psychedelics. If you've done psychedelics, like real psychedelics, like iboga, ayahuasca, not as much, but yes. Things like the LSD type stuff, acid, DMT. DMT is a good example. I've done most of those. you see things that are incredible, but they don't appear to be real here in this reality. But when you're feeling them, they feel as real as can be. So what's that? Does that exist? Is that real? Is this real? That's kind of what I'm saying. This isn't like a base reality. So I don't know why anyone would get like kind of upset about it. I think I have a theory. I think I'm right. That it's their mind does not want to get its mind around that this is actually what's happening, because the mind thinks this is all 100% real, and if it starts to think that it's not, it can get very upset. And it'll do all kinds of things, like make you hate the person talking to you about it and stuff like that. I think that's what it is. I think it's the mind or the ego trying to protect itself because
you can't handle the truth.
But it's not like I'm saying any of this is for sure and I know better than you. I'm just telling you my experience. I'm on BitChute. You can turn this off. It's right there. Where is it? I think it's right there. Just turn it off. You don't have to get all upset. What? I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing with your life? You're watching people that are making you upset and you keep watching? That's strange, isn't it? Why would you keep watching something that's making you upset? Could it be that you recognize there might be some truth there, but you just can't handle it? So you just gotta, oh, you're such an idiot. Which is, I don't even read. You're wasting your time. Why are you wasting your time so much? I don't know. Guess I'm kind of wasting your time right now too. But I'm actually trying to like help you see some things that I can see that might be of help to you. That's all I'm trying to do. So if you think I'm a dick for that, I don't know what to tell you. I lose money making these videos. I lose money in Marco. And all those things, all these things are here to try to help you. What's that thing? They always try to kill the messenger. Anyway, so as you might have noticed, I don't have a lot to talk about. It's only been like 2 or 3 days since the last video, and there actually hasn't been a lot going on. That whole, remember in Donald Trump last week? He was like really emphatic about it. It's like, big news. This is gonna shake the world news. And he said he was gonna announce it like this weekend, which already passed. And I kind of mentioned in my last video that he kind of announced that he flip-flopped on the Chinese extortion stuff he was trying to do, where he was trying to extort people in the US if they tried to buy stuff from people who live in China. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's crazy, but a lot of people are cheering it on. It's like, thank you for extorting us if I try to buy stuff from people who live in a certain place. And it crashed the markets. It almost destroyed the entire supply chain and world travel, world trade. And then here's what actually happened. The interest rates on the U.S. debt went up, and it's been going up still. As I talk about this, I say right because I'm just finishing writing the Dollar Vigilante May dispatch right now, where I'm also talking about this. So what I'm writing about is basically the Chinese government and the Japanese government started selling U.S. Treasury bonds because of all this tariff stuff. It started interest rates going up for U.S. Treasuries. The U.S. government has to refinance $9 trillion this year at these new higher rates. And they've been going up just steadily. They're almost at 5% for the 30 year now. And probably going to go much, much higher. And it's going to actually bankrupt everything in the U.S. This is going to be the huge collapse I'm talking about. But anyway, as this happened, I think they had to kind of like pull some of this tariff stuff and just to like try to make it so the US dollar didn't just completely collapse and the US government become completely insolvent overnight, which is like that close again to becoming. See, people don't know how close a lot of these things are. But anyway, was that his big news? So he basically just said, oh, I was just kind of kidding. He's done this like 10 times now. It's It's pretty insane. There's no Congress or anything. It's just scribbles given to him by the Jewish guy who stands beside him all the time and hands him a little book. And then he goes on Truth Social or X and just tweets it. He's like, I'm going to extort this much. And then everything collapses. Then he's like, oh, I changed my mind. Then everything goes back up. And he's like, I'm going to export this much. Everything collapses. Ships stop sailing. All trade ceases. And he's like, ah, it's just kidding. This goes on and on, back and forth. And all the TV watchers and people who have been entrapped into this left-right paradigm Jones plantation. Every time he puts the extortion on to like, this will create jobs. And every time he like rescinds it again and walks it back, art of the deal. So yeah, that was the big news. Well, they also announced that they're not going to be coming out with the Epstein files anymore. I'm shocked. It's almost like I told us so.
I told us so. I told us so.
So yeah, it's actually been a kind of a quiet few days. Maybe it's the calm before the World War III that's going to happen, according to Stu Peters' contact, after May 15th, which I should be back in Mexico right as it happens, which would be so hilarious for me if it happened. It won't be hilarious for any of these people if it happens. And I feel bad for them, but hey, it's probably not going to happen. You see these things all the time. But some things are definitely going to happen. There's going to be so much extreme crazy things. This financial economic collapse is going to be massive. So yeah, there hasn't been a lot to talk about on this video, but I've somehow managed to talk for quite a while. I don't know how I do that, but since my last video, I talked about in the last video how Macron and Keir Starmer and some German guy went on like this crazy coke-fueled train ride with Volodymyr Zelensky. They're all cokeheads. And what appeared to happen is before they turned the cameras on, as they were going to sit down, there appeared to be a baggie that looked like coke and a little coke inhaling spoon on the table, and Macron grabbed the coke and the German guy grabbed the spoon, and they all looked coked up, and they all kind of like gave that face like, oops. Like, it's not a secret that all these people, maybe not all, but most of them are like total cokeheads. Like Zelensky is like a huge cokehead. And remember Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, who locked the whole country down? Like a massive cokehead.
Sweet mustache. You'll be right. You probably had a shot over there. Okay, everyone's ready to go? Hey, who wants to kick off?
It's the same with Macron. So this is like not surprising whatsoever, but you almost have to wonder if they kind of did it all on purpose, just because they're having fun. Like they're getting away with so much stuff. These people, they just love it. They're actually destroying and killing everyone in Gaza right now as we speak. Like literally starving little kids to death. This is the sickest thing ever. You see them, all these Israelis, like if food tries to come in, they destroy all the food. They're just, it's the sickest thing ever. And they're doing all that. Trump's actually in Saudi Arabia with the new Syrian president who, like less than a year ago, was listed as one of the top terrorists in the world. And now he's the new Syrian president and they're all happy, doing handshakes. and spreading the Greater Israel Project for their bosses. And none of these people are actually in charge of anything. They're all basically like actors, in my opinion. And I've had some people say to me, Jeff, they can't all be... It's complicated, but I've shown lots of proof of that over the years. Like how many times have we shown these politicians walk up, they got everything written for them, and they just read it off. They're just like teleprompter readers, basically, for the people actually doing all these things. And they're doing such heinous things. And these guys, they're all on coke and stuff, and they're just like, just partying and just because they're super evil. They love all this evil stuff they're doing. They just absolutely love it. So it wouldn't be a surprise if that was their coke and stuff. That'd be totally not surprising whatsoever. But it is interesting that it caused like all of these like news articles to come out. France derides Russia's false claim of drug use by Macron, Mertz, and Starmer. Elysée warns against Kremlin's disinformation efforts after cocaine conspiracy theory spreads online. Well, that's interesting, because I never saw any Russian propaganda. I just saw a whole bunch of people posting on X. But the mainstream media, which is CIA/Mossad, is saying that it was Russian propaganda, which doesn't even really make any sense. It was just a video. Like, it was video of them. There was something on the table that looked like coke and a coke spoon, and people were talking about it, and they're like, it's Russian propaganda. Like, what's the propaganda part? But it's interesting that they're putting out this article. But here's the thing, I don't believe any of it. Like, that could have been all of it set up, all of it. Like, they're doing this all on purpose, just for fun. They've got trillions of dollars. They love doing this stuff. And they've already talked about it on 60 Minutes, how they do all these things. And have you heard even one person talk about it? I've not seen one person go, hey, did you see Mossad agent on 60 Minutes just said they do all these things? They control everything. They're the producers, they're the directors, they're even the actors.
We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
This is Mossad's old office. Its motto from Proverbs 24:6 says in so many words, wage war through deception and trickery.
It's weird. It's like I live in my own reality that other people can't see these things, and I see them, and I'm like, why is no one even talking about that? Because that's basically what they're doing. I think it's mostly because people are mostly under mind control. Oh, we just got Keir Starmer is actually just having a press conference right now. Let's go to Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room. What's going on, Wolf? Yes, Keir Starmer is just taking the podium to talk about what exactly happened on that train in Kiev.
I would like to address the rumours of a certain meeting where a bag of cocaine was found before Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister of France, hid it in his pocket. Yes, we all did cocaine that day. And yes, we had a naked dance-off afterwards. This is how we do it in Europe. We like to sniff a little bit of cocaine and then we just get naked and dance and rub up against each other and shit like that. It's fun, and we're all gay, so it's perfectly fine. Anyway, thank you. And have a nice day.
And, you know, getting back to Hitler, because why not? Like, I don't even really believe most of the stuff about even all that stuff. There's so much evidence that he was a total, sort of like a plant, just like Justin Castor, just like all of them. Like an actor. He was seen, I think, with Stalin or Lenin or something in a cafe in France, like a few years before he became president. He seemed to have contacts and you know, sort of like with the Rothschilds and stuff, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is I don't believe anything that anyone says about anything. And that's actually served me very well. But when you talk about like all these world misleaders, because they're not leaders, they're misleaders. And they're almost all of them are like on coke. Trump might not be. I haven't seen too much evidence he's on coke. But a lot of them are. And even look back at like Hitler during the Olympics. Like here he was watching the Olympics. What do you call that? Was he just like this coked up meth head sort of guy, just like Macron, just like Zelensky? They just put him into place? Totally possible. All I'm doing is kind of just like looking at stuff and telling you my opinion. That's all I'm doing. If it triggers you somehow, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Like, you don't have to watch these videos. But I am trying to like kind of just get my views on things. And also, you know, a little bit of apocalypse entertainment for you too. And then, you know, I've heard from a lot of people, Jeff, you know, all these people aren't all in like one big club. Could be right, you could be right. But there's a lot of evidence that a lot of them are. And they do all kinds of stuff. All kinds of weird gang signs. Like, you know, there's the Crips and the Bloods, and they do all their gang signs. Those are low-level gangs. There's much, much higher level gangs, and they've got all their own gang signs as well. Like Kill Gates, Keir Starmer. I actually forgot her name. Who's that cackling? Oh, Kamala. I actually forgot her name. I don't care. They're all doing this weird hand sign, and there's Kill Gates again. There's Justin Castro. There's even Stalin, I think that is. All doing this hand sign. I actually don't even know what that one is, but that's strange, isn't it? You know, talk about history and stuff. Like, I think I triggered some people saying, you know, I feel bad for them. They've looked at they've watched the History Channel their whole life and all these history books, or even like alternative history books, which are still kind of mainstream history books. And saying a lot of it's all lies. Yeah, I think I kind of might have pissed some people off, especially because I actually don't know much about that history that much, because I kind of recognize it's mostly all BS a long time ago. So I'm like, well, why would I waste my time even looking into it? But there's tons of evidence of like all the structures, you know, all this Tartaria type stuff. There's so much, like who built those pyramids. This is the stuff that I'm more interested in. And I think that all relates, just so you know, this is what I think. Could be wrong. You don't have to get all mad. That it relates back to like these people that are kind of called Nephilim, which are around at the time of Atlantis. It's a long story, but you can read about it in a great book called The Apocalypse of Yajnavalkya, which is published by a friend of mine. It goes into all this stuff and how you can actually track them, how they actually have different blood. You can actually, if you can get their blood, you can see if they're Nephilim or not. Anyway. I don't know what to do. Actually, I think it's starting to rain out here. I think I might start to wrap this. I really don't have a lot to tell you. I just thought, hey, I'm in Madrid. I might as well come out and do a video. And but there hasn't been a lot to talk about. What I would say is just the real thing is to do the work on yourself. It's the only thing that matters. If you're not physically in shape, and I mean like not just like, you know, muscular or thin or whatever, but like healthy. If you're not very physically healthy, that's pretty much number one. That's the starting point. And then you can start to work on more of the mental stuff. You can do that through meditation, you can do it through hypnotherapy, you can do it through things like a brain tap device, which puts you into basically a hypnosis state and starts to reprogram your mind. Which, by the way, if you have trouble eating well, like eating healthy food, or doing exercise and stuff like that, the brain tap has stuff for that, and it'll actually reprogram your mind. I've done it and it actually worked with me. Very quickly, within a couple of days, I all of a sudden stopped eating a bunch of crappy food I was eating and started eating more healthy food, and it was like nothing, it was like I was a different person. It's like, boy, I love this healthy food way more than that crappy food, without any sort of like, you know, so you can do all these things. So if you can't do the health, like eating good and the physical stuff, exercise and stuff like that, get the brain tap and listen to those audios and reprogram your mind so you start liking those things. Then do that. Then you can start getting more into like the meditation and stuff. And then you can start to see your traumas. And over time, it took me years, you can start to really see the traumas, and then you can start to not run away from them, but actually feel them. And when you do, you release them. And then that's like massive. And those are all tied to programs, which once you release the trauma, the programs kind of go away, and then you become like a different person again. And as you're doing all this, especially if you're meditating, which is basically just sitting there and watching your own mind, and just, you know, not being focused on, you know, not reading a book or not watching, like just sit there. And, you know, do it for like half an hour or an hour. Most people can't. So if you can't, just do 5 minutes. If you can't do that, do 3 minutes. You know, it's just like going to the gym. And then you start to get connected. And if you get to really relaxed state, you start to go to higher consciousness levels, and you can see a lot of this stuff in the matrix. Yeah, so you should do that. Oh, and it's gonna be a great 2-day, basically a master class on all this stuff. So once again, we're putting together, it takes a lot of work. It's got about, I don't know, 15 or 20 incredible speakers on it. On May 31st and June 1st, it's about $150. You can watch it on your own time. It's got a lot of this stuff in it. And a lot of how to survive the apocalypse, which I think you can. But you just got to be smart, and you're going to have to know a lot of these things that are going to be in this 2-day masterclass called Freedom Hacking. You can't say I'm not trying to get you this information. And no, I'm not trying to do it to make a big profit. I actually lose almost all the time on all this stuff. Just so you know. Like, I lost, I don't know, $50,000 last year doing Narcofoco. This event might make like, I don't know, $5,000. So now I've lost $45,000. So I guess you could say in a way I'm trying to get out of the hole by doing these things, but I'm mostly doing them because I'm trying to help. But here's the thing. You have to actually, it's like doing the work. Like you have to, it's not easy to like sit there and watch all this stuff and to actually listen and actually take notes and actually like do the things that are talked about in that masterclass. But if you do it, you're gonna have some incredible experience. You're gonna have a much better life. So, you know, turn off the TV, turn off the sports ball, which I have to say is kind of hard for me right now. The NHL playoffs, the Oilers are doing great, but which I've been watching actually in the morning on like record here in Europe, because it's on at like 3:30 in the morning my time. But anyway, so when I watch it recorded, I fast forward through everything except for the actual gameplay, which is about an hour long. So I spend about an hour every couple days watching some sports ball. But the rest of the time, I'm doing all kinds of work, self-work. That's the kind of stuff you got to do to survive. Oh, and I should mention that we are really discovering this Tesla is what I thought it was. And what I've discovered over the last year, it is one of the most phenomenal things, discoveries of our lifetime. This plasma stuff is absolutely incredible. Like it's curing everything. There's cancer people shooting tumors out of their nose after just 1 or 2 sessions. It's incredible. We've seen people who couldn't walk, all of a sudden they can walk in a couple sessions. It's de-aging me, like just from a quantum biofeedback machine, I've de-aged by like 2 decades. Like there's this guy, I forget his name, he's always on Twitter. He's like, go get your sleep, I'm gonna live forever, and all this kind of stuff. I've seen like his stuff and his numbers. I'm pretty sure mine are like way better just from doing the Tesla. I don't do most of the other stuff he does. And like I was saying before, it's, you know, if you can afford it, it is so valuable to have. And there's so many testimonials. Actually, they have a new website, so go check it out, tzla.club. They got a bunch of testimonials up on there. But every day there's more on the members area, because it's a club, and it's an incredible club. It's amazing. People are helping each other out with all kinds of stuff. Like some people, here's been one of the biggest issues, by the way. A lot of people have family members who have a really bad thing, like multiple sclerosis or whatever. And so like the father might get the Tesla, and like his daughter or his kid or his wife or whatever won't use it. Like they're sitting there, it's incredible. They've got this major problem. They're like really bad. And right beside them's the cure, and it doesn't hurt or anything. Like it's a little, you feel a little tingle, that's about it. And within a couple of days, they'd probably be cured. And they're like, nope, I'm not using that. It's not FDA approved, all that kind of stuff. It's just incredible. But so in the group, a lot of people help people with it. Like, have you tried this? You know, have you said it in this way? Have you considered maybe just doing a bath for them, which they might not even notice that the machine's doing anything, and all this kind of stuff. So it's a whole group of hundreds of people now who are all helping each other out. And like I said, every day there's like new testimonials, like this guy from Mike D. Yesterday I went for a long walk and my legs are so out of shape and weak due to a year of almost no exercise due to a fractured L1 vertebrae. I developed a strong pain in my left leg near the groin about halfway through my walk. I was hobbling home in pain with each step. This morning I applied the Tesla lamps in the groin area for about 45 minutes, constantly moving the lamps around my thighs, lower abdomen, etc., then returning to the groin. The result? No more pain. In fact, it feels stronger in that spot than before, as if the micro tears to the muscle tissue had grown back with more muscle mass. Truly amazing. Yeah, I found that too. Like every now and then I'll get an injury in the gym or something, and I go and it hurts, and it's a kind of injury that I sometimes have like numerous times in the past, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have a sore arm for like weeks. Put the Tesla on it, it's not sore anymore right after, and it actually feels stronger. It's like it rebuilt. I know it sounds crazy. They're still like just starting to do studies on what this thing's doing. But it's like it actually comes in and like rebuilds like all your, it's miraculous. There's no other way to put it. It's just miraculous. And even, oh, it's starting to rain now. I'm gonna start heading in. Everyone's starting to run. They're the locals too. They probably know if it's really gonna, yeah, it's starting to come harder. All right. But even worse for like little things. Like I saw Max, he's still stuck in Australia. And he had flu, which is just actually a detox. It's actually really good. And he didn't think of it to use the Tesla. So he was actually in bed for a number of days just feeling horrible. Before he remembered he had a Tesla machine just sitting there, he put it on and he said right after he was feeling fine.
And I've been sick as a dog. I actually got a pretty bad flu. Just 3.5 years in Mexico, and now I come here to Australia and it's nothing but rain and cold and damp and just constant water everywhere. And I was kind of bedridden for like 4 or 5 days there. And then the other day I was just there thinking, well, I wonder if the Tesla machine works for a cold. So I whacked the Tesla machine on me for 20-40 minutes a day for 2 days. And I'm pretty good. So it seems to even work for the flu, folks, which is quite amazing.
Oh yeah, it's really coming down now. Just like Max actually said, it's been raining again for another few more weeks. It's been raining for like months there. Which clearly is some sort of weather weapon to destroy that's like Australia's, where they grow all the food. And it's all basically underwater. Yeah, it's cured up Max almost instantly, and it does. I've used it with people who have flus or colds, which are all just detoxing sort of things. And they feel almost back to normal right away. This thing fixes like everything. It's incredible. So you might want to get one if you can, tzla.club. And yeah, I guess I'll finish this off just by saying that, yeah, I think I have been a little bit extreme over the last few years. I still believe in almost everything I've been saying, but how I've been saying it, you know, like, I don't know. Something about this trip, I'm kind of like, just relax. If you're doing the work, and if you're prepared, and you sign up for things like the Freedom Hacking event, and you follow some of the information you get from there, you got the Dollar Vigilante newsletter, so you're in things like Bitcoin, which is over 100,000 again. Things like gold, which is at all-time highs at 3,300, again, 33. Or Monero, which is now at $340. It's up again today. Those are all the things that we talk about at the Dollar Vigilante. So Uh-oh, getting cold. I better get up to the Tesla machine. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I want to, I don't know. But I think, I don't know, something about me changed on this trip. That's what I'm saying. I've also been doing some like deep work with my shaman, Christoph Melchizedek. And he's been like unlocking things in me. And he's been doing amazing stuff, by the way. Like, absolutely amazing stuff. Like, the whole world will realize what he's doing in the next few years. He's been deconstructing all of this matrix stuff. But something's been changing in me too. I kind of feel more relaxed, more like nothing's too, you know, like before I was more like, you're gonna die for sure. And now I'm like, you're probably gonna die unless you do this stuff, but you know, relax. I don't know, something shifted. Could be the energy, I don't know, could be just a mood. Maybe I'll go back to being a bit more extreme later, but yeah. The real key things are just take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of the people around you. Get out in nature. So many people don't do that. You need to do that. You need to connect. You need to ground. Don't get caught up on your screens all the time. That alone will kill you. And you know, try to do this work, and that's the real key. But yeah, so it looks like we made it through our trip to Europe. We didn't die. We survived the Paris riots. We got here after. It's kind of funny because it was just 2 weeks ago that this whole place was blocked out for days. Got here just after that, and then we're leaving right before the World War III starts tomorrow, apparently, which probably won't happen, but it could. And if it does, whatever happens, happens. It'll hopefully be a good experience for you, because it all is just your experience. That is, you know, I can't explain it to you how I know that. I just know. This is all made for us. Once you start doing this work and you're like meditating and you're living present and you're like, you know, not drinking or anything like that, you start to see all kinds of signs and symbols, and they become very obvious. All kinds of synchronicities, and it's like, well, that can't be. Like, that was put here, you know? And it's just incredible. And so if you're not doing that, you're not getting connected out in nature, if you're not doing this sort of work, that's the real key stuff to do. Nothing else really matters. Anyway, I don't have apples. I'm so looking forward to getting back with her. I miss her so much. I really do. I didn't for the first few days, but the last few days, I'm just like, I need apples. She's such a sweetheart. I can't wait to get back to her. And but let's go find my 2-year-old to finish this up.
Yo sé que no hubo nadie que te diera lo que yo te di, que nadie no ha dado como te cuide. Por eso comprendo que estás aquí, pero ha pasado el tiempo, yo también cambié. Si no supiste amar, ¿ya?